Unit 8. Homeowners Insurance. What is the maximum number of family living units permitted in a residential structure that is eligible for homeowners coverage? Homeowners policies may only be issued to cover premises that are principally used for private residential purposes and contain no more than 4 family living units. What is the maximum number of roomers, boarders, or additional families permitted in residential structures eligible for homeowners insurance? Eligible residences may contain 1 additional family or 2 roomers or boarders per family. Notice that this differs from dwelling policy eligibility, which allows up to 5 roomers or boarders. For personal property coverage, who is insured by a homeowner's policy? A homeowner's policy insures the personal property of the named insured, all relatives of the named insured who live in the same household, and any other residents who are under the age of 21 and in the care of any member of the insured's family. On request of the named insured, the personal property of guests or a resident's employee may be covered. Which homeowner's form is specifically designed for tenants who do not own the premises in which they live? The tenant's form may be issued to tenants who do not own the premises in which they live. This form provides broad coverage for personal property and no coverage for the dwelling. In what way is personal property coverage under a homeowner's policy broader than it is under a dwelling policy? On all homeowners' forms, personal property coverage is broader than it is on dwelling forms. The full homeowner's limit applies to personal property owned or used by any insured while it is anywhere in the world, while only 10% of the limit applies worldwide on dwelling forms. Unless increased by endorsement, what is the maximum amount of coverage provided by a homeowner's policy for theft of jewelry, watches, and furs? Special sublimits apply to some classes of personal property under homeowners' policies. Theft losses of jewelry, watches, furs, and precious and semi-precious stones are limited to $1,500 per occurrence. Generally, homeowners' policies do not cover motor vehicles. What, if any, coverage is provided for motorized vehicles? Homeowners' policies cover vehicles that are not subject to motor vehicle registration and are used either to service the insured's residence or to assist the handicapped. For example, motorized lawnmowers and electric wheelchairs are covered. Which homeowners' policy forms cover damage caused by falling objects? All policy forms, except the HO1 and HO8, cover damage caused by falling objects. This is one of the broad form perils. Which, if any, of the homeowner's policies provides special coverage for personal property? The HO5, the comprehensive form, provides special coverage for personal property. Which, if any, homeowners' policies cover earthquake losses? None of the policies cover earthquake losses. Optional earthquake coverage may be purchased and added to a homeowner's policy by endorsement. Which homeowner's policy definition is broader, residence premises or insured location? Insured location is the broader definition. It includes the residence premises plus newly acquired premises, temporary residences, vacant land, cemetery plots, and other areas from which liability could arise. What does homeowners' personal liability coverage apply to? Personal liability coverage applies to damages that an insured is legally required to pay because of bodily injury or property damage suffered by another. The term damages includes any prejudgment interest awarded against an insured. Is there a time limit on homeowners' coverage for medical payments? Yes, medical payments coverage applies only to medical expenses incurred within 3 years after the date of the accident causing bodily injury. Under a homeowner's policy, which residents of an insured's household are covered for medical payments if they are injured? Medical payments coverage does not apply to an injury suffered by the named insured or any other regular resident of the household except residents' employees. An insured has $100,000 of personal liability coverage under a homeowner's policy. If a judgment is entered against the insured for $80,000 because of bodily injury, and the insurer has already spent $35,000 investigating and defending the claim, how much of the judgment will the insurer pay? The insurer will pay $80,000. All claim expenses, including the costs of investigating and providing a legal defense, are paid by the insurer in addition to the limit of liability. Do homeowners' policies provide any liability coverage for the use of watercraft? Yes, coverage is provided for a variety of small boats and non-owned vessels. The Watercraft Exclusion applies to certain boats and motors that are owned by an insured, to sailing vessels that are 26 feet or more in length, and to motorboats that exceed power limitations. Which homeowner's form provides broad coverage for the personal property of condominium residents? The HO6 is the condominium form. It covers the insured's personal property and certain building items and improvements or betterments to the building in which the insured has an insurable interest. An insured condominium owner is charged for her portion of the costs to repair the condominium clubhouse that was damaged by fire. Would these expenses be covered under the insured's HO6? Yes. The loss assessment additional coverage provides up to $1,000 coverage for assessments charged against the insured by a corporation or association of property owners as a result of direct loss by a covered peril to property owned collectively by the members. If an HO2 that covers a single-family home has a coverage A limit of $100,000, what is the limit for coverage C? Under the HO2, the standard limit for coverage C on a single-family home is 50% of the coverage A limit. In this example, the limit for coverage C is $50,000. What are the standard limits for Section 2 of the homeowner's policy? The standard limits for all homeowners' forms are $100,000 for coverage E and $1,000 for coverage F. Higher limits can be provided for an additional premium. Which homeowners' forms contain the collapse additional coverage? The collapse additional coverage is contained in all forms except the HO1 and HO8. Does the insured have to be legally liable for another person's injuries for coverage to apply under medical payments coverage? No. Medical payments covers injuries to others that occur on the insured's premises or result from the insured's activities, regardless of whether the insured is liable. How does the business pursuits endorsement affect the homeowner's policy? The business pursuits endorsement provides liability coverage for business activities conducted away from the resident's premises. You have completed the questions for Unit 8, Homeowners Insurance. In the next section, we will discuss personal auto insurance. This marks the end of Track 9.